Hi everybody, welcome to my first learning teaching interaction. My name is Melanie Christensen. Let's go ahead and get started here. I want you to think for just a minute about why you've decided to major in marriage and family studies. If you're anything like me, it's because you're passionate about families and you know that this is an eternal principle and one that can bring us a lot of joy. The goal of family life education is to strengthen and enrich individual and family well-being. One of the things from the history of the family life education that stood out to me was the land-grant universities that Abraham Lincoln signed into law in 1862. And from those land-grant universities, we have the Cooperative Extension System, or the SES. And the purpose of these were to take this knowledge from the universities to the masses, to share this information with people in the community. And I like that it said it helped people help themselves by taking the university to the people. I happen to live in an area where there's a land-grant university, and I quite possibly will go there and get my master's degree and could very easily become part of this CES. So this was something that really stood out to me. As we're thinking about putting our workshops together, we need to think about designing the program. And prevention is the main focus of family life education. So there's 3 types of prevention. The first is primary, and that is preventing problems before they occur, catching them early on. Secondary prevention happens when there are some signs of problems, and we can intervene at this level to help them from getting worse. And then tertiary is for an audience with participants who are really struggling and who are likely in therapy at this point. Since we're talking about therapy, I want to touch on that for just a minute. I think it's really important that family life educators be very clear with their students that they are not counselors. And I think in this type of setting, it would be really easy for the participants to want to use their educator in that way. And we just need to make sure that they are very clear about that and that we can refer them to a counselor if needed. Family life educators need to have a very good understanding of risk factors and protective factors. So risk factors are those things that increase the odds of a negative outcome, while protective factors increase the odds that we can thwart that outcome. So it's important that as family life educators, we have a good understanding of that. And this makes me think about a class that I took last semester. It was Child 310. We talked about child development for preschool and school-age children. We talked a lot about risks that affect them and how we can intervene, and found it very useful. Once we know what those risks are, we know how we can help. It helps us to understand the protective factors as well. As we're putting our family life education workshop into practice, before we can present it, we need to think about a model for designing it. Our text talked about 4 different stages, and I'm just going to touch on 2 of those. So stage 1 was problem analysis. And this is a really important step for a family life educator to really assess what the problem is to the audience that they will be presenting to. What specific problems do they have and how can we help them? Once we know what the problem is, then we can begin to do the research and look for those scholarly articles that will give us the tools that we can present in our workshop to help people. And the second stage is program design. And in this stage, it's really important that we understand our target audience. That way we can really tailor the workshop to them, and it'll be worth their time to come. So I want you to think for a minute, have you ever been in a class or workshop where the teacher didn't know her target audience? I just want to share a quick little experience. I went to a nutrition class a couple years ago, and the teacher was giving a presentation on clean eating. And I'm not familiar, or I know what clean eating is, but I haven't really gone down that path. And so I was kind of interested to see what she had to say, but sitting through the class, her information was too far above where I was. And I felt like she didn't really know her target audience that well. I left feeling like it was a waste of my time, and I don't want people to feel that way coming into one of my workshops. So this leads me to marketing, and people really do weigh the costs and benefits of things before they'll make a decision. So if we want people to come to our class or workshop, we really need to make sure that they see the benefits of it and that they can make that decision. because they will see if the benefits outweigh the costs. This is that social exchange theory that we've talked about, and it really is how people make decisions in a lot of cases. So when I'm thinking about marketing, I have had a little bit of experience with this. I had a small online scrapbook store years ago, and in marketing that, I learned two important things. The first one was that when I partnered with a bigger website like eBay, that people were familiar with and were frequenting, I sold more. And the second thing I learned was it was really hard to get my name out there on my own and to try to compete with some of the larger stores. So I feel like I can apply this to my family life education workshop, because I think it is important that we partner with people in our community. What structures are already there that we can utilize? We don't have to build this from the ground up. And some of the things that I thought about were our churches, our schools. There might be community resources or facilities that do family life education. If we can partner with them, I think that'll help us in our marketing and in our advertising. So as I was thinking about the different approaches to family life education, I believe that I can see myself utilizing the collaborative approach. And I like the idea of the audience participating and sharing their thoughts and feelings. And it sounds very much to me like the BYU iLearning model. One of the main values that guides me through this process is my belief that families are eternal. And because I believe this to be true, I want to strengthen families. I want to share with them how they can be happy and obtain that goal someday. And the final thing that I want to share with you in conclusion here is that as I was reading the different principles, the one that really stood out to me was the principle about failure. And the reason this stood out to me is because changing and utilizing these tools that people will gain through these family life education workshops take practice and time. And it is very likely that people will fail. But the important thing is that they keep trying and they recognize that failure is normal, and it's leading them to more growth and learning. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm looking forward to viewing yours, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.